Welcome, boys and girls, to the newest episode, fresh off the press, of DweeBros podcast.
It's the first episode in 2 months. First one of this year that all three of us are together.
Is it?
I think so, yeah. I wasn't here in January. You were. What do you call it? You were let go.
I was. You know what February. This is? Neither of you will get this reference, but you guys will. Kingdom Hearts 2, the game starts out with Roxas. Where's Sora? Well, now we got him.
I'm Travis. Welcome back to the show. I'm cutting off that reference because I don't know what's going on.
I'm Jacob, and I decided to go ahead and get my job back, so I'm here.
Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Roxas. I'm just kidding. I'm Sora. Just kidding. I'm DweeBros.
Oh, my gosh.
Just kidding. I'm Zach, your host here, where we will talk games, movies, TV shows, and the most important thing in the world. And I would say the elephant in the room. Or should we say the dweeb in the room? DWEEBS.
DWEEBS. It's finally out there, man.
It's finally out here. So for those that follow us on YouTube, some are listening on Spotify, some are listening on Stitcher, some are listening on iPods. They have their iPod original with the wheel listening to us. So we put out a big project. Ginormous. I would say...
First part of a big project.
Yes. I would say the biggest project I've ever worked on.
And you've made a movie.
And yeah, I've done a indie film, and this was bigger than that. And that would be DWEEBS. We put out episode 1. Cody. Episode Uno. So
you were the star.
Yeah, so we'll just talk a little bit about kind of the making of, a little behind-the-scenes stuff. So if you haven't seen it, I'll put that up right now in the corner of your screen. Go freaking watch that.
Yeah, if you watch our podcast and you haven't seen this yet, click on that.
Yeah, so if you're watching on YouTube, boom, it's right up here in your corner. If you don't, go to YouTube, go to DweeBro, and watch it. You goof. Yeah. So now you've watched it. Welcome back. So... yeah, this I guess what I want to talk kind of the origin, kind of this whole thing. It was sometime last year. I came to you, Travis, and we kind of talked about doing something kind of more in depth because I think at that point we'd only done Hangouts. We didn't even do the backlog show.
We had a podcast for a little while,
and I was like, I want to do something more produced, something a little bit more involved than just streaming per se. So I wanted to add a little flavor to the channel. So. We sat down.
We wanted to add a little flavor that just
spice it up a little bit.
We went way overboard if this was a little flavor.
We created another meal.
So yeah, I guess this just started out as I kind of brought this idea that I looked at content on YouTube, and a lot of it is very well produced. Yeah. Very well produced, but at the same time, it all kind of seems like the same. Again, I don't want to kind of trash on other stuff. I think it's way better than kind of if you look at like an Uncharted 4 review that I've done, like that stuff. There is so much good content on YouTube, but there's something that kind of feels like I don't know. There's a restlessness that was in me of like there needs to be more. So came with this idea. Let's do some story involved, music involved. Let's celebrate games. Like let's just. I think another part of it was, and we've kind of laughed about it before on the podcast and elsewhere of. A top 15 things wrong with this game and blah blah, and that's like the most popular stuff. And it's like
if I can interject, one of the things early on when Zach was formulating the idea for DWEEBS was, and he kind of references of what is the thing that we're supposed to make, right? There are a lot of guys who are extremely talented. A lot of them have great British voices that just talk for 20 hours about every game in this series, and they show gameplay and they dissect it all, and it's great. And then there's guys like, Skill Up is a great YouTuber that I love who does really in-depth reviews of games. And we were talking about, well, that's not our skill set. That's not who we are. And Zach, you put a lot of time into an Uncharted 4 review that you were like, you know what? This ultimately is just kind of what anybody else at IGN could already do. Yeah. And so I tried to start asking Zach, and Zach asked himself, what is the thing that we could make, that only we could make, and that would be our thing? And you really said it, of a celebration of games, because we had a point early in the channel where we decided we wanted to be more about what we love about games than what we hate and what we don't like, or this 15 games suck, or that kind of thing. And so that really was an early part of it, that gave the direction to it, I
Definitely.
think.
So we kind of brainstormed, and that's kind of how we came up with this ideal of let's, I'd kind of already had the more we thought about it, the more I talked about it, I was like, let's make a variety show. I knew we wanted music game covers. I think that was discussions were a very early part of it.
Yes.
And I have to, hats off to to give credit where credit is due, where those are from. The concept of that and the way they're even filmed is heavily, heavily inspired by a show that maybe kind of some of our younger viewers might not even know, the One Up Show. Mm-hmm. The One Up Show was a show from, again, this is another younger maybe reference people won't get, is Electronic Gaming Monthly, a magazine, later known as EGM, later known as, I think, just One Up. But it was a gaming magazine, and they made, each week, I think it's each week or every couple weeks, they made the show where there's discussions, and they would cut in gameplay, and they would just be out on the street, and it was several different people having differing opinions and different reviews or discussions on stuff. I loved it. It was incredible. And the more I, looking at these other content on YouTube, negative or way better produced than what we can do, we were looking and I said, there's kind of a gap they left. Because that was back in, I think, 2010. That was done with. And I said, let's bring that back and put our own kind of flair on it. So that's where the discussion stuff came from. The story was, I always wanted to do something video game related because we've always, we have another channel called Nobber Productions where we do kind of skits and stuff like that. And I kind of wanted to bring that into the gaming space, so that's where that came from. Yeah. And then the music game covers is Travis is very musically talented. We have some musically talented friends, and I said,
whole friend group,
let's bring that in and let's celebrate video game music. So you get discussions on games, celebrating games themselves, story, which is, I think, too early to I think in this first episode we're building something, but we're just teasing, more of that. But basically this first character, Cody, loves games a little too much, maybe. So that's kind of this first episode is about kind of obsession, I guess, and kind of not taking responsibility on other things. But
I really love the story beats of this first episode. I really love the way the character was written and the way that he's just kind of very average Joe. You know what I mean? But I thought it was really worth connecting to. And I one of the things I love, because we've been working on the show, and Zach obviously has been leading that charge for, probably close to a year. I mean, it was pre-production this time last year, and then it entered production last year.
I looked, and we filmed this whole project, all 5 episodes, went from about early September till December, going into late December.
So it was
nonstop.
It was a long production, and I can't wait for you guys to see. Like Zach said, there's a lot more. There's more. Like, it's just each episode has different themes and different characters and things. So
it's kind of exciting when you're going to see everything flow from one episode to another.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, the premise of what we're trying to do is we're trying to tell a story each one too.
Yeah.
But I will absolutely, if you guys need to go watch it, but when you're telling the story and then we cut from the discussions to the story to then the funny side
moments.
stuff.
That kind of stuff really connects with me because you were very influenced by the One Up Show. I loved watching Tech TV and then later early G4 when I was a kid. I would watch that stuff every day. I'd go home and watch that stuff. And there was a show on there called X Play, and they would review games, but they would do funny skits also and just be weird characters. And I always loved that kind of stuff. And like you said, there's an element of just fun that is kind of missing from the discussion around games right now. There's a lot of serious analysis. There's a lot of serious issues and topics. Yeah. But I feel like sometimes we lose out on the fun. Everybody's so worried and scared and uptight and frustrated, and there's a lot of fun to be had. I remember nowadays when we think of E3, people are always like, "Oh, it's such a corporate thing," and it's it's very cynical. And when I was a kid, E3 was like Christmas, and I was so excited. And so I just love that part of the show where it celebrates the industry a little bit more.
Another thing that One Up did well, and you'll see as the episodes kind of go on even more, but you get to see it in this first episode, was in the One Up Show, there was a certain segment called Broken Pixels. And it was kind of like Let's Play before Let's Plays. They would sit down and play very, very bad games. And I would just be in tears laughing at this. But you wouldn't get it every episode. You would get kind of a mix of skits, or they would only do this. So each episode I would go and go, oh, they are fitting that in. Or you'd see a whole new segment or a new skit thing. And that kind of variety, this is kind of a variety show. That's what DWEEBS is. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what the next thing is going to be. And I'm very also heavily inspired by Adult Swim and the bumpers and Toonami and stuff. You would just see weird segments in between. anime and all those different
And
shows.
it just made you chuckle. It was never like something serious. It was just like that little. It's just like a nice little breather. And that's the whole thing. It's like here we are. We have discussions where you're getting hit with some information. You're getting hit with some opinions. Then you have the story where you can get emotionally invested in, and then you like. Everybody needs like a brain fart.
Yeah, it flows so well.
Yeah, and then like you. Oh my gosh, I love episode 1 so.
Yeah, so
it's so awesome to see how you put it together.
Shout out to my sister, Katie. She was the artist who was playing the piano at the end of the episode. Me and her worked on that rendition of the Ocarina of Time title theme.
Yeah.
So
it's an awesome job.
Yeah, and
if
you like Zelda, if you like Ocarina of Time, if you like open world games, that was one of the themes of this episode, and you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. I have a hard time believing anybody would be watching this and not enjoy that.
Yeah.
So.
One other thing, and you'll see this. Maybe maybe in the future there'll be a kind of a bloopers behind the scenes thing. Almost died filming this episode.
Which part?
The car.
Which car? Oh, the car. Yeah.
So when we were doing the open world discussion on Final Fantasy and Breath of the Wild, we're in a car on that, and somebody stopped suddenly.
Yeah,
in
we
front
did.
Of Travis driving. And as I'm talking, I just you'll see it. It will
well,
stop somewhere,
even in the footage when the camera does show the road, it looks like we're going a lot faster than we actually were. I think I could be wrong. But I was watching the video like nervous for us.
Yeah,
I was doing the speed limit though, so I don't know.
I wasn't worried about you, but I was worried when we all suddenly stopped.
Yeah, the worst part is where Jessica was sitting to film the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, shout out to Jessica. Jessica is my girlfriend.
Yes.
She's fantastic. She filmed anything where Zach was in it, and Zach wasn't behind the camera. She filmed a lot of that, especially in this episode. I don't think I filmed any of that. So Jessica, she's been filming actually multiple. She filmed a bunch of discussion stuff. She filmed stuff for our show, Backlog Bros. I mean, she basically co-produces that. She's not in front of the camera very often. She was on one hangout, but I feel like we'd be remiss not to give her a shout out.
I think
your wife, played a huge role.
Yeah, just about everybody you've seen before on DWEEBros or on Hangout is kind of...
and you're going to see... You guys haven't seen anything yet. I don't want to get into it, but I mean, the first episode was great. It's a great onboarding with one character, but there are scenes and scenarios and,
Yeah, so...
it just gets bigger. So.
Again, thank you for checking that out, and share that if you would like, because that helps us out. And we just want to get this in front of a lot of work and torturous amount of times that have went into this project. So the more you share it, the more you tell people about it. Hey, we really freaking appreciate that. So
where can they find it? YouTube, Dweebo.
YouTube, Dweebo.
Show's called DWEEBS.
The show's called DWEEBS, and I'll just go ahead and say this is a 5 total episode series. So we are keeping tight-lipped on other stuff, but maybe at the end of the show we will announce something else about the next episode. So, yeah, DWEEBS was fun. So thank you to these guys, definitely. Big ups for all the help in that. And that's it, DWEEBS.
What else has been going on the channel? We did Hangouts this month?
We did Sekiro Hangout.
Yes, we did.
Which, if you have not seen that yet, I'll pop that up over here as well. And that was that made for a very interesting time. We didn't get far, but man, did we see...
Let's go ahead and dive into Sekiro. That's kind of a game me and you have both been playing, and so we can kind of just step into our games talk. I don't think you're playing it, right?
No.
not a Sekiro fan. So, Sekiro is the next game from the FromSoftware bros.
They suck.
We're the DweeBros. They're the hard bros.
Yeah.
Basically. So, yeah, they've added... whereas I think that I feel like the series or these games of Dark Souls, Bloodborne, whatever, they've gotten faster each thing. So we have Dark Souls, okay, they're getting whatever, and then Bloodborne is like, whoa, it's very more actiony. It's less
get in there, get aggressive, get your health back.
Aggressive, and then this is taking it to a whole different level. Whilst you can have the grapple, you can move around, you're a lot quicker. You told me about the sprint button, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. And
you are sprinting, you are like going very fast in this. Well, at the same time, they've added sneaking. You're sneaking around. And I'm having a great time with it. I'm dying and cussing a lot.
It is very much a FromSoftware game. So if you like those or you've seen us watch them or watch us play them before, you know what that means. It's melee combat. It is very tactical in terms of everything has weight. Everything you do matters. You can't just go in swinging or you will die. It is extremely hard. I feel like I've built up a little bit of resistance to these games to where I have a hard time at the beginning, but I know what I'm signed up for. Bloodborne threw me some curveballs with some of the different health regain, be more aggressive, no shield, but I really adapted to that because as I started playing more and more Dark Souls games, I stopped using shields. I just beat Dark Souls 1 last year and didn't use a shield once the whole time and had no problem. So I'm used to that part of it. This game is... I was talking to my girlfriend and I said that I feel like I might be getting old because this game is so fast and the way you have to react to... let's put it this way. In Bloodborne, it was fast, but if you got hit, you could hit back and regain your health. In this game, that is not an option. If you get hit, you're hit and that health is gone. And that is coupled with the fact that some of these enemies move and swing so fast and their movements are so fluid and they feed into one another that you have to react so quickly to block. This whole game is about pulling your sword up and blocking and deflecting right as they swing. And sometimes it is as fast as do, like 4 times in a row.
You gotta go.
And I've a few times felt like, man, am I getting like too old? Like, am I old for this? Like, am I not able, which is not a thing because you could be however old and people play these games. But my reaction time I have felt really stressed in a way that it hasn't been before in these games. I don't know how you feel about that, if that's been at all your experience.
I am glad that when I miss, because you have to block right to turn up their posture, to get the posture meter.
Yeah, enemies have health and they have posture. And
so you get that posture meter, you can go in for the death blow and kill them, and the game is kind of revolved all around that posture, I feel like.
Yeah.
You can kill them the normal
way.
Health
isn't really as much importance.
Yeah, it's not, and that's the biggest difference between that, I think, and the other games. There's grappling, all the sneaking stuff, but I feel like that, for someone going in like I was, ready for this type of feeling of a game, that was a big change. So, the goal is to block and hit that at the right time. Right when they go in for the attack, you block, and that builds up this posture meter
on them. But you have a posture meter too, and every time you block, yours starts to build up.
So I'm glad that it's very forgiving because I'm not good at that. I hate quick time events. I don't really like those, and that's kind of what it feels like to me at some points.
Yeah.
Because you have to get good at that blocking, like boom, boom, boom. But so what I do is I kind of like I'm tapping it nervously.
Yeah.
And then I kind of feel
some leeway.
Yeah. So if you do misguide it, your posture meter will go up, but you don't get hurt. So that happens to me a ton, and then I just have to get better at like. Boom. Okay, I got that one.
It's almost like an extreme version of like the active reload in Gears of War. Like you're just always tapping.
It is similar to that.
Except there's no bar. It's just visual, but you have to tap that bumper right at the perfect time.
I like active reload.
Yeah. So I like
Gears
when
of War.
Gears of War is great.
When I get into that groove, everything works out. I will say there's weird bugs that me and Alex. You've seen them on the Hangouts and stuff, but you haven't really experienced this. But I've had bugs where I'm trying to hide, and people can see through trees and see through rocks. And it's like, I'm trying to hide, but it basically turns into a Metal Gear, like, exclamation mark. They can kind of see you, and they can show you how close they are to seeing you, and their detection meter, and they can still see you through certain things. And I've had that happen quite a bit, to a point where I think that'll just get patched. I think that'll get fixed, but it's kind of annoying right now.
Do you think that the stealth adds a lot to the
I think
game?
so.
I think so, too.
The sneaking I really like, because there was times when I'd go through an area, and I'd be very careful, and when I do this every Souls game, and I think maybe that's how it's meant to be played, you'll take out a bunch of guys, and maybe you'll die, and go back to the bonfire or whatever. And the next time, I have more of a understanding where the enemies are, and I'll try a different route.
Yep.
Or I'll try this. And I did that this time, and it was really cool. There was something I did and went back and found such an easier way through everything.
Yep.
Once I went through and I kind of got an eye on the landscape. So this game is awesome. You're really big into verticality.
Yeah, the verticality adds so much.
It adds
because
a ton.
Dark Souls games have always been on one plane, and maybe you walk up some stairs, but like you're not engaging with people down below you unless you have a bow and arrow. And this is so fluid. To be honest, it would be weird to go back to a Souls game without this kind of verticality.
I was thinking about that. This game kind of runs old.
I'm wondering now when we go to Dark Souls 3 how we're going to be feeling, because for those games you had to hold sprint and then tap B to jump, and it was a big mess. There wasn't a lot of required jumping, but Man, if you've seen footage, I'm sure of the the hook shotting around and the swinging and the jumping.
So I if I get into a bind, I go back and go, I'm Batman, and I'll grapple out of there.
Man, they nailed the feel of a ninja.
You compared it at one point to the gameplay loop of the Arkham series.
Yeah, it's a lot like
where
Batman
if I get caught,
Arkham.
I'm going up and I'm hiding for
you hide for a little bit, and then you come back down, and a lot of times. So let's talk about mini bosses.
Yeah.
So Dark Souls games have always been enemies, and then you enter fog gates, and there's bosses. This one, this Sekiro game is a lot different in that, number one, there are no fog gates. Number two, I've been playing for 10 hours. I've only fought one true boss, but I fought probably close to 9 or 10 mini bosses. Mm-hmm. And so by mini boss, I mean a character that has a name, it pops up in the left, but they're surrounded by other like mob enemies, number one. And number two, you have to kill them twice. So they'll have two little icons that means you got to kill them once and then you got to kill them again. And this game has a lot of mini bosses, and they're a lot of times surrounded by other enemies. A lot of times you have to sneak up and get them once like sneaky and then kill them once for real. Mm-hmm. But I found myself kind of missing, it's kind of two pieces. Some of the mini bosses I wish would have been given a little bit more of an arena and made their own boss. Like you got to the Drunkard, right? Yeah. There's a character called the Drunkard, and I was fighting him and I was like, I wish they would have just gone all the way and made this a real boss. Like, he's got cool design and everything. And then there's other mini bosses who were like, maybe they're a little bit more of a roadblock. I don't know, for me, than what I wish they were. I guess that I just feel like every time I turn around, I'm finding another mini boss, and they drive me crazy. But it's good. It's making me better at the game. Yeah. But I do miss a little bit more of the dichotomy of there's the areas and the bosses. Here, they're kind of all mixed in. I walked into an area, and then a boss came running in, and it kind of keeps you on your toes in a way. So in that way, it's kind of cool. And it's a different game. I'm curious your thought on that and some of the mini bosses.
I like that it's changed up. I feel those mini bosses are almost as hard as other bosses.
They are. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I hate at times when there's a bunch of enemies around. That kind of can get annoying at parts for me, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. Yeah. And I would say this is actually probably the one, even though we're having a hard time with it, compared to the other Souls games, with the leeway and the blocking and stuff, I feel like I've had the easiest time kind of with this one so far in some ways, but I'm not as far as you in certain ways. But I
had one mini boss I was stuck on for about 3 days, but I finally beat him yesterday. So another thing that's different in this game is there's no stats. So you're not like getting experience and then leveling up your stats. In this game, you get skill points and you use them to unlock things on a tree, like a skill tree. So it's a lot different. It's not an RPG. And with that, also, your character, I won't get too much into detail, but basically the character's left arm can be swapped out for different, basically trick toys, right? So one is a grappling hook. There's another one that's like a flame vent and it shoots fire out. There's one that will shoot like sparklers on the ground and like shock people. There's one that like an axe pops out and you can hit him real hard.
A machine gun.
And I don't know. I haven't found that yet. But one of the things I like is I have found where I'm using one trick weapon and I'm not beating a guy and I'm trying, and then I'll try another one. And I was stuck on this guy for a few days, and finally I was like, what else can I do? Everybody online says to use this crackler thing to scare him and then hit him, but I'm not doing enough damage to really make a difference. And then I looked up online that other people were using the axe for that, and they go hit, and then use the axe, and it would stagger him, and you could do that over and over and over again. And so that is kind of cool, that idea of there's different types of abilities that you can use, and not just, one always works for this type. Like, you can mix them up, and different people would use different things. So I really, really like the game a lot. I think I love it. I like the environment design. I find the NPCs pretty memorable so far. Best story so far out of any of the dark. There's a story, and it makes perfect sense. I know what's going on.
You don't have to look in the manual and all the item descriptions to get it.
If they bring this kind of storytelling to the next Dark Souls or Bloodborne, I would love that, because I've always not been connected to those stories. And this one, they're not doing the whole, read all the books and stuff or read all the items, but this one's a lot
I feel
more
like if I was to tell someone to play a Souls game, I would actually tell them to just play this if they're not super, and
because you get the same effect of overcoming challenge, learning a different type of way of fighting. It is hard.
That is the biggest thing. The biggest change is the dying twice.
Yeah,
you can die.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that. You can die and you can resurrect yourself. But if you do it too much, things start happening to people in the world, which
and my people are fricked up. And
I actually don't know what gameplay wise what effect that has, other than just
So if you keep dying, I forgot it's called unseen aid. And
I've seen that.
What
goes
that
down.
is that goes down, and what that is if you die in the old games, you could fight back and get to your old body that goes to your body and get that stuff back.
This is gonna make you laugh.
Well, in this one, it's just if you die, it's a roll of the dice. You might get your stuff back, you might not,
and you lose half of it.
That's a joke.
If you die, you lose half. Well, it's not really a roll of the dice. If you die, you lose half of everything.
But you might get it back.
The only time that doesn't apply is when unseen aid activates.
Yes.
And unseen aid is on a percentage. Normally, it's at 30, and the more you die, it goes lower and lower and lower until you restore it to 30. Mm-hmm. So basically,
so you know what I do? I die a ton. I die twice. After the resurrection thing.
I just make sure I use all my skill stuff.
I keep. I just know I'll lose a lot of my money. Sometimes I get lucky and I'm able to use it on stuff. But what I do is, what's good is in the old games you got like soul item things, and you could use them to use your skills or whatever. This one, it's like gold pouches.
Yeah.
So I just keep those till I'm ready to use them.
Now, did you see what you can do though? If you say you got 2,000 gold, there's a merchant. You've definitely seen him already. You can go to him and you can buy bags of gold.
Oh, I saw that.
And it's a way of storing your gold.
Dude,
I went to him and bought like 5 100-pound bags of gold.
You know what that reminds me of? Majora's Mask. When you would reset the time, you'd lose all your money, but you could put it in the bank.
Yep.
And that bank goes in and out of time or something. I don't know. But that reminds me of that.
Yeah,
I'm going to pull a Majora's Mask in Sekiro.
It's similar. I think I'm with you in that I would recommend Sekiro because it also... It has a more diverse gameplay loop.
Yeah, you can play sneaky all the time. You could get in there and start fighting them.
With
all
these
the time.
games, even Bloodborne, it's always like, where do I go? What do I do? What this key unlocks that? It's always very weird and archaic. Sekiro has not done that to me once.
Yeah.
I know where I'm going.
There's an item that even says, it's over here and go back to this spot and that's where you use this key.
Yeah, do you think it goes too overboard or are you down for it?
I'm down for it because...
We have 5 of those other games.
And one other final point I wanted to make with that is playing this, I can't shake the feeling. Like, I'm having a fun time and having a good time. I think this is really cool with the sword and all the changes that they made, the grappling hook, different gameplay. I heard a rumor the other day that FromSoftware might be making an open world game or changing up and doing something else.
I heard that too.
And I went, let's do it because I felt Sekiro, I'm having a great time. Do we need another game where it's the same? You die, you go to this thing, you know what I mean? You're finding it. Like, let's try to do something else. Like, I think you've mastered this. Like, I don't know. Like,
they have mastered it, but as long as they keep dropping 10 out of 10,
yeah, not saying
somebody asked us. They said in the past decade, does anybody have a better track record than Miyazaki in games, in movies? Demon's Souls, Dark Souls 3, Damascene, and Sekiro.
Yeah,
those are the games he's directed in the last decade. That's a great set of games. I mean, I don't think Kojima can stack up against that.
You're missing out on the greatest company.
He's only made 2 games, and who else? What?
See, in the beginning, on the PS3, Call of Duty World at War came out. And then they realized, you know what? We need to up that. And they gave up Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And then we got Call of Duty Black Ops.
That's true.
Was one guy directing all those games?
But then we got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. You miss out on the greatest genre.
The one guy, he quit.
The greatest genre of all time, Call of Duty, where they say, you know what?
I will give you that. That is the greatest.
Okay, well, while we're talking about Call of Duty, I do want to talk about the game that's made by the people who created Call of Duty. Apex Legends.
We did hang out on that as well.
We
I don't know if we talked about that.
So, I mean, I don't know if even a lot of people realize that because I think a lot of people are like, I think a lot of people that know what's going on with developers and stuff.
I thought EA made it. EA
did make it, but so the guys who started Infinity Ward and created Call of Duty, they left that company years ago and they started, Respawn Entertainment. And Respawn made Titanfall and Titanfall 2 and then now Apex Legends and then they were bought by EA. EA kind of didn't make Apex Legends. EA kind of just bought the guys that were making it, and so that's why it worked out okay. Here's what I want to say about Apex Legends. I've been playing with my brother, with my buddy Sam. We play it probably once or twice a week. I don't play it a lot. But I am also feeling like an old man with this game where when a new multiplayer game comes out and everybody's new, you feel like you can play. Like, you're shooting people, they're shooting you, you're having fun. Sometimes you go far, sometimes you don't. And Overwatch got this way for me also, but Apex Legends is hitting a point where everybody is so good, I can't even make it 1 minute and I die all the time. So, and I'm like, I suck, I can't shoot anything. So I don't have a lot to say about Apex Legends. I think it's a really well designed game, but I'm realizing in playing Apex Legends that I might be close to retiring from multiplayer shooters competitively. I can't keep up.
He's going into retirement.
I can't keep up. I just get annihilated. The loot, I feel like either I loot really well and then I die, or I don't loot well and I die, or sometimes I'll stock up on all this stuff and I'll live all the way till the end and then die. You might be saying, well, maybe, Travis, you suck, and maybe I do.
I mean, you play Dark Souls and all those games and you die, yet you keep going back, but then you die in Apex Legends, you just don't want to come back?
Yeah, no, I don't know what the problem is. So also, I will say also I play on PC, and people with their PC,
they're ridiculous.
It's just ungodly how good they are. So that's another game I was playing this month, but I've had fun with it. I'm competitive, but not like raw competitive. Like, I hate myself. I hate everything when I die. Like, it makes me want to jump out the window when I die in a game, like online. And so I have to remind myself, this is for fun. This is something I'm doing. I honestly get almost more mad playing Apex than I do at Sekiro. So I don't know. I'm just kind of...
It's just funny you bring this game up because I've had coworkers, I've had people tell me, Jacob, you should download this game and give it a try.
I think you'd be all about it.
See, here's why I wouldn't be. Because everyone loves it, and I don't enjoy...
You're a contrarian.
I just don't...
I don't think that's true. You love, Madden. And
no, I really love Madden. Not true. Madden 19 was the worst thing I've ever experienced. I was so mad I paid $60
I think you're just making a thing out of this specific game.
I just don't get the hype. It's been done before.
What's been done before?
Call of Duty 4 is exactly this game.
No. Oh my... What are you talking about?
Not Call of Duty 4. The Call of Duty Black Ops 4.
No, this is way better and totally different.
It's Battle Royale. It's jumping jetpacks.
Black Ops 4 is microtransaction out to crap, number one. Number two... This game has actually almost nothing in common with that game outside of the fact it's Battle.
Oh, they put characters in it. Whoop-de frickin' doo-dah.
There's
I could put a girl in a game and just clap my hands too. I just don't I don't know. Something about it is just doesn't click with me. I just don't resonate with that game at all. I see coworkers playing it in my office. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, playing Apex Legends. It looks terrible. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I just don't like it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it either, but for very different reasons.
Why old people sit on the porches and say hey, I don't like that. This is me sitting on my porch right now saying I don't like that.
You've become an old man.
Let's pivot off Apex Legends. Bringing out the worst in all of us.
I just don't know. I'm sure.
Well, Jacob, you seem not to like character-based shooters. So what else you been playing this month?
A lot of character-based shooters. No, again, there's probably nothing wrong with Apex Legends. I don't see the appeal in it for me right now. Maybe
tell us about the shooter that you
I picked back up Overwatch.
We're talking about the same game here.
No, it's not. Overwatch is completely different. It's team-based. It's 6v6. There's objectives you fight against.
Do you know what Apex Legends is?
Battle Royale.
It's team-based. It's literally you pick characters just like Overwatch. They have healers.
Yeah, they have healers and they attackers.
And you have to play with a team of
bombers.
It seems like your hate is more towards the Battle Royale.
You have a thing that's on a cooldown you can always use, and then you have an ult. It's literally Overwatch.
Do they have the ray gun that you get in the mystery box?
What are you, a ray gun?
It's called these zombies. No, again, I understand what you're saying.
Talk about Overwatch. I'm off of Apex. I want to hear what you're doing in Overwatch.
No, I just been playing Overwatch. I double dipped and got the console version because I wanted to play casually. I wanted to just sit back with a controller and just sit on my couch and play Overwatch. The console version of Overwatch is so terrible, it makes me regret it.
Why?
It takes forever to load into a game. So you have the same menu and everything, but when you hit play, it takes you to a skirmish every single time. And skirmishes in PC is like only when there's like absolutely no one available.
I think there might be not a ton of people available. I want to know if you guys have kind of picked up on some of this. I heard that, I just hear a lot, and I talk to people, a lot of my friends who played Overwatch, my brother and Sam.
Yeah.
What did they always play?
Overwatch.
What are they playing now? Apex. A lot of people I talk to have said that Overwatch is, it's not dead, but it's kind of getting barren in some ways. A lot of people are leaving that game to play between Fortnite and Apex and some of these different games.
the era of Fortnite is on its last leg. Like
Fortnite or Overwatch?
Fortnite. Like,
you think Fortnite's dying out?
I haven't heard anything about it in forever.
I think
it's the horse's legs broken. I'm about to put it down.
I think people are still playing Fortnite, but I kind of agree to a point of. I feel like these games have a lifespan, like a shorter lifespan than they used to. These multiplayer games, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like when Call of Duty came out, I know they were updating yearly. I think even that people were changing to a new game every year. You know, but they're still Call of Duty. But now it's like, okay, we're playing Fortnite, but now I do hear a lot more people talking about Apex for a while, and then
nothing lasts
Overwatch
forever,
for a year. That was like a year or two. Like,
nothing lasts forever, but kids are still all playing Fortnite. Whenever I talk to kids and stuff, they're all still playing Fortnite. And number two, when you get on Twitch, it's still by far the number one streaming game.
Yeah.
Like, Apex shot up above it for like the week it came out, and then it's been below it since.
Yeah. I hear a lot of things about Fortnite. You're right. I hear about Apex Legends. I hear a lot of things about Rust. That's the only other game I hear a lot about, which I don't know if you guys ever heard of Rust.
Yeah.
It's like it was one of the most played Steam games before Players Unknown Battleground came out. Apparently, it's like a online shooter that you raid people.
We love online shooters.
I think Rust had a battle royale mode, kind of like a mod mode.
See that?
Rust is a survival game.
Something like that. Like you survive. I just heard you can run around naked. That's the only thing I heard about Rust.
I will say also, just on, and then we'll pivot off the Apex Fortnite thing. I don't know that I really like the genre, to be honest. I have fun with it. We had fun with PUBG.
It was a nice experience.
But I could never win because it's really hard. It's really hard to win in those games.
I at one point played a lot of like first-person shooters online, and like original Call of Duty on PC and all that stuff. But I'm now at an age that I like to play couch co-op or split screen co-op with like friends and stuff. I don't really like to play outside of
together online.
Yeah, I like to play more locally and stuff if I can. I'm not really into online anything anymore.
I don't know. I haven't had an itch. I know we're kind of going on a rabbit hole, but I don't really. I mean, it is what it is. I've had such an itch to play sandbox games lately.
You have?
Yeah, really? I don't know why. I've been wanting to play Metal Gear Solid 5. Just because I heard you can just do whatever you want. Now, I just want to do it.
You should play that game.
You should.
You know what I mean?
It's very fun.
But like that, I don't know. Like Gary's mod. I don't know if you guys ever tried Gary's mod. Yeah. There's nothing but bullcrappery.
Physics madness.
It's just insane, and it's entertaining. I don't know what it is. Yeah. I don't know. Gaming's kind of been weird.
While we're on this subject of Gary's mod and just physics gaming and just like weird things online, have you guys been keeping up with? I think of this because one of my favorite videos on YouTube is one that Super Bunny Hop did. You can check him out. And he did a video all about a Gary's Mod server that was all... This is going to sound terrible, but it was absolutely nuts. It was a recreation of Germany in the 1940s. And everybody on the server, you could be whatever you wanted. You could be... a person, you could be a guy, you could be a cop,
you could just be a person,
you could be a Nazi, you could be whatever. They were all running around the server and they were telling, there was a story, it was an emergent story, and you had to, if you were on the server, you had to be in the role, whatever you picked. And they were like trying to arrest people and people were running away. And
my God!
Okay, listen, so I say this, he did a really good video on like how amazing it was, but also how kind of almost borderline like not okay it was, but also how nothing like that could exist anywhere else other than in a game. Yeah. And it's a great video, but the reason I bring that up, because you brought up Gary's Mod, we're talking about sandbox games. I lied earlier. The number one game on Twitch lately has not been Fortnite or Apex Legends. You guys know what it's been?
I don't know.
Gary's Mod.
No.
Oh, dang it.
It's been GTA 5.
Oh, yeah.
But the reason it's been GTA 5 is not because people are playing on GTA Online only or whatever the thing is. That
they're playing 1940s Germany.
No.
GTA 5.
There's a thing going on right now in GTA 5. It's been going on the past couple of weeks with these streamers all got together and they started a custom server. I think it's called No Pixel is the name of the server. And everybody in the server, the deal is if you get into the server, a lot of them are streamers, you have to pick a character and role play as this character. And so I was reading about it online, but all these people, like, they are just, they create a character and they are running the prisons. There are real cops. There's a whole police force, and they have their own Twitter accounts in real life where they tweet as their character. Like that, I saw a picture of the entire police force. There's a chief of police. There's a prison that they run, and they arrest people and put them in prison. I watched the other day for an hour with my brother and his girlfriend. We pulled up. There is a guy whose name's Eugene, and he's a cab driver, and he just drives other streamers around and drives them places. And he answers his phone. He's like, "Hello, what can I do for you?" And he takes people places. And all these individual streamers have their own characters with their own stories, and then you might see a guy pop up on a stream and be like, I want to know more about him, and then go to his stream and watch his stream. And it's this big interweaving story. And I was looking on Reddit and I was looking online. People are following the lore. They're watching it every day. Lore. They want to know what's going on.
Twitch plays Pokemon.
And it's this giant collaborative storytelling thing. Really cool. And it has made GTA 5 the #1 Twitch game again. Because all these people, I mean, I don't know. It's been going for a couple weeks now, but
I kind of want to check that out.
I was watching it for a couple hours, and I never watched Twitch ever. But I heard about this, so I was like, I'll throw this on, and I was thoroughly entertained. There was a guy who was like trying to go into prison to kill someone or to get somebody. I don't know if they were trying to get in there, but he was talking with his friend, and he's like, "We're gonna kill somebody, go to prison. Why don't we go to prison like some other way? Like, why don't we do something smaller?" Like, so they steal a car, and then the cops are trying to chase them. It's real players pulling up in cop cars trying to arrest them, and it was just phenomenal. So
wow.
I don't know. I didn't play any of this, but I watched some of it.
But
that's remind me of what you were talking about, of sandbox and storytelling.
That's fun.
And
that's the joy. I remember like when Minecraft came out. And I don't know if you guys played Minecraft, but like everyone had such a desire for like a battle royale, Hunger Games type thing. Mm-hmm. That's where it all started. Was they created servers and like, all right, this is Hunger Games, and the way Hunger Games works is there's a circle, and that's where like sandbox games are so awesome because you see such a level of creativity that's like implemented there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a little bit on to the next thing. Like, if Battle Royale got its really roots there, and then it grew into the Rust stuff and some of the Arma mods and stuff, and then PUBG is when it really started to grow.
It is now mainstream.
And then Fortnite, it has been taken over by the corporate people, and they're running with it. And I think Apex has kind of been me realizing, I like this. I had fun with it. I think I'm done with Battle Royale games. I might still play Apex with people I care about if that's what they're into every now and then. But I think I'm done with the Battle Royale. I'm ready for the next thing. What's the next innovation?
The next innovation is Portal 2. I have been playing online, but I did do online.
You're co-op. On the cutting edge, old man.
Yeah, bud.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Portal 2.
How many players can play in that game?
At the moment, it's just me and Alex.
Only 2?
Wow, that's exciting.
What kind of loot is there?
At least
what kind of battle royale is that? Does the ring close? So we, it's funny because me and Alex will jump in sometimes, and we like to play like through co-op campaigns and stuff together. So we jumped into Portal 2, a little late on that, but I'm having a ton of fun. Portal 2 is really a great game, and it's fun. We were just racking our brains on certain challenges and having to sit there and, okay, you shoot a portal there, okay, and like having to work that out, and that just that kind of teamwork and stuff is for that game is better than anything else I've played. Teamwork wise, of like, okay, you need to build okay, put the ring there, we move this box, we got it, and there was some like we were stuck on for like 25 minutes, like just sitting there. And then finally one of us figuring out, but having a lot of fun playing Portal 2, and I recommend it.
Nice.
If you've heard of that game.
I love the first Portal, and I've been wanting to play the second one for a long time. I just haven't
gotten to it. We've been talking about co-op, and like I actually had my first ever, like in a long time, like real deal co-op moment in a while.
Yeah.
My friend Michael brought his PS3 over. We did a LAN party.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we played Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies.
Nice.
On the original map. And
that's good.
I'll never forget. Again, I always go back to like, what was 13-year-old Jacob doing? He had a 24-pack of Mountain Dew next to him. All right, he had some Oreos, and he had a TV and a chair. And I'd sit there and just chug Mountain Dew and just play Call of Duty till like 6 in the morning. And I'm like, I have to go to school. I don't want to go to school.
Do you ever think back to how late you would stay up playing games sometimes, and then you would go function the next
I get
day?
sick. I get sick thinking about it.
I would usually be good, like, on school nights. I was always good at, like, here's the time I go to bed. Because I knew I'd have to wake up super early. Like, I was good at that, about that. But on the weekends...
Yeah, weekends especially.
The worst stage of my life that I got to on... You know, I was Cody in DWEEBS. Was Dragon Quest VIII. I was staying up so long that I was... I might have talked about this before on something, but on a hangout or something. But I would play so long that I would fall asleep in the chair playing.
Oh my gosh.
And I'd wake back up and just keep playing. But it got to the point where I'd play till, like, my dad was getting up for work. And I'd be like, oh no. Like, he's getting up for work and I haven't gone to bed yet. And I just knew I was going to, like, frick myself over. Well, I get so bad, if I go up too late, I start to, like, hallucinate. So here's what I do. I get audible hallucinations. So when I was playing that game that late till, like, 5 in the morning, okay, time to go to bed, and I would lay down and go to sleep, I would be in hallucinations. Yeah, hallucinations. To the point where I heard, like, kids laughing and stuff, and I was like, who is up at 5 in the morning, like, playing on the side of the house? So I'd look out the window, and there's no kids out there. And it's like, I'm, like, imagining, like kids laughing. Zone. And then, like, I heard, like, people laughing maniacally and stuff. And, like,
oh my gosh.
Do not do that. Go to bed, kids. I recommend sleep.
I don't
check it out.
It's just, like, it was funny because we were sitting there, and, like, I look over, and we started, like, 6 o'clock, and then it's, like, 10:30, and I'm like, what happened? Like, because, like, you just get in a little trance, and then, I don't know if you guys always remember, like, there's always a secret to stay alive in every single map, and it's, like, normally a little route you run, and me and him would just run the route, and I'm like, this is so monotonous, but I'm having fun, and I don't know, it was cool. LAN parties are neat.
Yeah.
We don't.
They are neat. I've done one a couple of years ago.
We need to do a nice Friday night, stay up all night,
just
playing
LAN
games.
party.
Eat Oreos, drink Mountain Dew.
I can't do that anymore.
You know, here's what would happen.
High school night.
And you know what happened? Everybody would leave at 11:30.
Yeah, we could barely make it past 10. When we did the stream for Leon's campaign, I was sitting there like,
we all said, let's do it all night. Let's keep going. And like an hour later,
we're done. We can't do it. We're throwing the towel in. But it's just so awesome. I can't really explain it. There is... I want you to go, because I want to talk about something at the end of all of this.
Okay.
That's very special to my heart.
So, the other game that I've been playing a little bit of, I've kind of not been on it as much because I've been extremely busy with life stuff, actually. But I played a good little bit of Red Dead Redemption 2, so I finally cracked into that egg, and I really like that game a lot.
They're getting a Battle Royale mode, too.
No, are they really?
No.
I'm really dying to get back to it. So I've played...
I'm happy to hear someone... You're the first person I know that has played it in our circle of friends, so...
Yeah, I played the first introductory chapter and liked it a lot.
Cool.
I'm in the second chapter now, which is not very far, but it's when the world really opens up and you can go wherever. And, man, I forgot how good... of storytellers Rockstar are.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
I really forgot. And I didn't play the first Red Dead, but I mean, I loved GTA 4. Loved it to death. I think that game, I mean, sure it's got its issues and stuff, but that was my first GTA game, and I loved that game so much. And this reminds me of that, just in how when I played GTA 4, I was like, everything's so detailed. I can get in this car. I feel like I'm driving around Brooklyn. I feel like I'm doing all these things, and this game is like that, but for the Wild West. It's the way I remember GTA 4 when I was a kid. That's how this game is. And so it is very simulation almost, where things take up space on your horse, and you got to go grab things, and you know, like you've got to grab your gun off of your horse. But so in that, I've almost started to treat it like a role-playing experience, and not necessarily...
Howdy, partner.
Yeah, and like not in an RPG,
really
like numbers way, but I could totally see where people would bounce off this game if they're not down for the slow pace of everything.
It's extremely slow pace.
But that is how that time in life was, and so in that, I'm almost like, these people put in 100-hour weeks for 5 years, so I could see what it's like to be a cowboy, and you can talk to anybody, you can intimidate them, you can,
the best cowboy role-playing game ever made.
I did some bounties, I've found my preacher friend out on a railroad track and played poker, and I cleaned these guys out.
Oh,
and
you saw that?
I accidentally killed somebody, and then I was chasing the guy that saw me do it, lassoing him and throwing him on my horse, and everything just spills out, and it has a little bit of an emergent factor to it with the way the NPCs react to things. And I'm not very far in the story. I've gotten it to where like there's members of the gang spread out all over the map, and I'm eager to get back into it. But my favorite thing was, as I love these weird moments. If you saw episode 1 of Dweebs, I talked about this with GTA 5, where just weird things would happen, and like an ambulance would come out, and this kind of thing. So this happened, and it was my favorite moment so far of Red Dead, where I'm trying to find this bear trapper guy or whatever. So I have a bear skin. There's a whole other story where I killed this bear, and I don't know how I barely killed it. I feel like I was in The Revenant. But I'm trying to sell this bear skin, and I'm going down the road. There's a guy coming my way, and we're both passing on the road. And I don't know what happens. I think I just misjudged where he was on the road and where I was. But we collide, like head on.
Oh, I did this so many times.
And we both fly up into the air, and I fall down. My horse goes, ugh, and it's just like, ugh, it's all fricked up. And then he falls, and then his horse falls on top of him. And then he's like, oh, and then it starts standing up, and it's like trampling him, like it's trying to get up, and it's killing him. I see him die, and it runs away. And so I'm just kind of sitting there like, I just killed a man. So I go up to him, and I see people coming, and I don't want them to think I did this. Yeah. So I pick him up, and I carry him down to the river, which is about 10 feet, 15 feet from where I am, and I toss him in the river, and I watch his body float away. And then I walk over, and the only remnant of him is his hat is in the road. And I pick up his hat, and I put it on, and I get on my horse, I push his horse into the trees, and I run off, and then I'm passing these other people, and I say hello. And I just love that this game gives you all the tools. It has crazy weird physics, and there have been a couple times where I'm just riding on my horse, and I don't know, there's a rock or something, and I just go flying, and I love that.
It's a very charming game, and I really enjoy it. I do agree with you on the slowness of it. Really it caught up to me, because I'm in chapter 3, so I'm like I don't know if it's a good chunk or not into it, but
it's a little bit into it.
Yeah, see what I'm saying?
You got a ways to go.
And I just cannot find the time nor the desire to pick it back up.
Totally understand that.
Other than the fact that I just want to mess with people. Like, I do like messing with people and doing crazy things.
I had a similar thing with the horse. I might have mentioned this before. I can't remember, but accidentally hit somebody else. If I don't know what it is. Those roads are too narrow sometimes. I hit them. He flew off, and he was on the ground, and I was like, I think I killed this guy. Well, what I did was like, well, I'm going to loot him. I'm going to get like what he has. As I'm doing that, I lean down with the slow animation and stuff to get his stuff. His horse is right here. His horse bucks me in the head. It's like, you're dead. Like, it kicks me and he kills me. The horse kills me.
Gosh.
But
fun game.
It's goofy. It's a goofy game.
I'm planning to get back to that once I beat Sekiro.
Yeah.
I got to really hone in on the FromSoftware games. They are very demanding, but
you've had a crazy last game that you played.
Guys, Yugioh VR is a thing, and it is nuts.
Yeah.
There's currently whenever I get on, there's only 7 players, but oh my goodness! So
it's important to preface this that this is not an official Yugioh.
It is not
game,
official. Do not,
which is hilarious.
Do not go around talking about it. It's on the down low. Keep it. You can get on this through a Discord
Konami
server.
is like Mr. Lawsuit.
Hey, they took down my favorite website, Dueling Network. I was ticked. That was my favorite simulation website for Yu-Gi-Oh games. I'm a huge Yu-Gi-Oh fan. I'm not into the whole XYZ tuner summoning, fast paced type of style.
Sure.
I like the traditional Yu-Gi-Oh, the TCG, stuff like that.
OG Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, Egyptian God cards are the best cards, and that was it.
Yeah. Pre-bans.
Yeah.
Dark Hole. Raigeki.
I can clown with GX. That's about the farthest I
like GX too.
Yeah. So, a couple guys, 2 people, wanted to create a VR dueling experience. So they used VR chat, all right? They used VR chat, got all the models, because you can easily make the models and everything. And they got it running. And it's a real thing. you get through the Discord server. There's like a community and everything. I'm a Patreon. Never been a Patreon before. Not only am I'm a VIP Patreon.
Wow.
Gives me access to special decks and maps.
Oh my god, I didn't check this out.
For a game that is not licensed?
I get to give communications to the people who make the game, like the message them.
Yeah, you'll be a big part of the lawsuit.
I cannot wait.
You'll be named in the indictment.
You'll be a student.
Who is Big Butt Where? What's his name?
They're currently making Jaden's deck because I asked for it. Probably some funding their legal thing they're doing.
Oh my gosh.
To be honest with you, Konami's pretty bad about taking this stuff down. It took them like 10 years to get Dueling Network down.
Yeah.
And this is through VR chat, which has everything known to man. So it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a hot minute till they get to this. But you can get on this called Duel Monsters VR, and it's literally Yu-Gi-Oh! You have a dual disc, you have your whole everything you want, all your cards.
That's the dream, dude.
Dude, it's the dream because
I haven't checked this out yet.
I've been trying to get you to, but I haven't been able to.
Well, what's funny is there's no official there's no rule set, right? Like you're literally placing stuff down and hoping that the other player plays
knows
that
the
way.
card.
So the first way we found about it was a video. I think you found or somebody found was. Somebody kept using the Pot of Greed card, which
I played Pot of Greed.
So this guy kept doing Pot of Greed continuously, and you just hear, "You're not allowed to do that." I called Pot of Greed, and I call Pot of Greed, and he just keeps calling Pot of Greed.
And it's I faced a couple people on there, like just getting to feel the ground, and they're all competent individuals, like they know how dueling works and all that stuff.
There's no links or any of that.
No, nothing like that. They just introduced 4-way dueling and tag team dueling.
Wow.
So now that's like a big deal, and they have like a bunch of new decks that you can pick from.
How do you track your life points?
On your dual disc, and you hold your hand over it, and you select how much you lose.
Okay. But you can literally throw cards.
You can grab a card and just chuck it.
Cards.
So hey, the best part was I was doing my little brother Josh. He's like, I finally got it. I was like, what you get? He's like, my Dark Magician. And I walked over there and grabbed it and just chucked it in the air.
Oh, gosh.
He got it back. It just was funny because I'm like, it's so you can just do whatever you want. It's that sandbox VR feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm finally able to get the full experience because my little brother, I got him to get a VR headset. So I've been dueling him the past couple of days. And there is something about sitting there, holding a duel disc saying, let's duel. And you start just acting it out. So I played Pot of Greed. And I played 2 cards face down with a defense monster. And I end my turn.
Oh, man.
Does everyone get really into it?
Yes. You can't play it unless you get into it.
Well, yeah.
I would say you can't be normal. If you were in person, you'd be like, okay,
I spectated a game, and I swear to God, there was Yugi right there, and someone is a Seto Kaiba.
Yeah.
And there was a guy spectating, he's like, Yugi! It was Yugi's grandpa. You need to get the Egyptian god cards! My soul depends on it! And then Seto Kaiba's like, this is a shadow game, Yugi, and this is for your soul! Oh, and then the dude Yugioh, and he starts spinning in a circle like he's transforming.
Sold. I have to get in this.
Oh my gosh, it is a dream of mine. So
yeah, I have it on my list. I've been watching the show again.
Yeah.
Because a really good retrospective came out a couple months ago from a YouTuber. I don't know the name of the channel, but if you look up just Yu-Gi-Oh, I think it's called what happened. I don't know. It's kind of all about the game and the show, but it was fantastic, and that got me in the mood to watch it again. So I started watching it again. I love that anime. I don't know if you ever got into that.
Yeah, I like the first season of
I love that anime.
Kingdom.
I love the first 3 seasons, and I'm excited to watch through the other 2 seasons. It's just great. It's a good mix of just kind of kiddish, but it's also kind of teen and angsty.
It's cool.
Nothing real crazy or over the top, but I love Yu-Gi-Oh!
I love
Yu-Gi-Oh! I hadn't thought about it really in a long time. The Game Boy Advance Yu-Gi-Oh! Games are some of my absolute favorite games, maybe of all time. I love them so much. I've just been kind of on a Yu-Gi-Oh! Kick, so I need to check that out.
I want you to check it. I think you're going to really be kind of surprised how cool it is.
I want to get in there and just go full out.
I did for the first time. I dueled my older brother Jeffrey, and I'm just going to say this. I summoned Exodia. And it was the real deal. I got all 5 pieces of Exodia, and I picked they have the Exodia Incarnate card. I played it, and the giant Exodia came up from the ground, and I was like, Exodia, obliterate! And he like
Oh
shot the ball at him.
Really?
Yep, it was so cool.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Dude, Yu-Gi-Oh! VR, like
I don't know why. When you first told me about this, I saw a little clip of the video. I thought it was like an extremely broken joke game. I didn't think it was like a real. You can play it. You can duel it
in real. Now, honestly, the video I showed you guys was like a gag video.
Okay, I want to check it out.
It was making fun of it, but like, it's.
You had me sold when you were saying also just people in there acting as the characters.
Oh yeah.
Because I love Yu-Gi-Oh characters.
I love the role playing of it.
If I get into a room and people are doing that, I'm gonna be.
90% of the people are like half Dark Magician Girl, half Yugi. That's what they are, because they get to dress up, and I'm like, why is your body Dark Magician Girl, but your head's Yugi? And they're like, oh, this is how I identify myself. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. No judgment here. Let's go play.
What a great show. What a great series.
What a great idea. I hope it stays up for another year.
I wish they would go back to the classic style of gameplay and get rid of some of the like the XEs and the pendulum.
The XYZs, the pendulum stuff. I don't understand that stuff.
The tuner monsters. The game was better when it was
Have you guys ever watched like a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament like recently?
I've seen it. It's a much faster game.
Dude, I'm like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, what'd he summon?
Yeah, and it's like you have to summon into certain spots and.
Well, no. Back in the day, if I dueled someone and you were facing somebody, you had your little deck mat. You had a cool little mat set out.
Did you play in tournaments?
Yeah, I played in like a tournament, but it was like never like that.
Yeah, I played in like card shop tournaments.
What was like the farthest you like the same way traditional kind of?
Yeah, traditional. I stopped playing when I was probably 12 or 13, and they started. Konami started really dishing out. This was probably, if I was 12 or 13, this was probably 2008, 2009. Konami started dishing out some really heavy-handed bans. It might have been earlier. It was
the
like
big ban list, like when
I had spent a lot of my childhood getting like Raigeki, Harpy's Feather Duster.
Yep.
All of these essential cards, like Axe of Despair, like very key cards for a traditional action deck, and they started banning them all. Like, these weren't overpowered.
Monster Reborn.
Yeah, Monster Reborn got banned. Dark Hole got banned. Raigeki, Harpy's Feather Duster, Axe of Despair. And it got to the point where I was like, every card is banned.
All the fun stuff.
So first they banned like a
Monster
lot
Reborn, all stuff's fun.
But then there would be like replacements that were like, they kind of did the same thing, but not really.
So what happened was,
and
like,
so
Monster Reborn got banned. They gave us Monster Reincarnation.
Yeah.
Where instead you sacrifice a card from your hand, you get the card back into your hand.
The idea, I think the thought is they got rid of a lot of cards that Yu-Gi-Oh! Had a lot of cards where you played it and it had a big effect and there was no drawback. So I think the thought was, well, we need cards to have drawback. You should have to, which I get, but when you're established and all these cards are what everybody uses, unless you're a game like Magic where you have sets and you work things in and out of rotation, it's kind of a big ask to tell people, hey, all these cards you invested in, these decks you built, you can't use them anymore. So
that's why Kojima left.
I was a very middling player. I'd go and get past the first couple rounds and then lose. It was just for fun.
I never really got too deep into it. I just remember sitting there, I'm like, it was always like I draw, and then like you sit there and look at your hand and you just start thinking.
Yeah.
And it was never like a hey, you need to hurry up type of thing. And then you always like announce your moves, like I'm gonna play a card face down and play a card in defense position.
Yeah.
And then like now I watch it and I'm like, they don't talk.
Yeah,
they don't make eye contact, and I feel like it's just like instinct. It's like quick time events.
The game is extremely fast with all the different ways you can summon monsters. Like nobody sacrifice summons now, which sounds so weird because that was how you play Yu-Gi-Oh. Now it's all pendulum, so. You got to have guys with these stars, and you do this, and it's just a lot.
It is, and when I thought it was a lot when Fusion became a big thing, because when GX came out, it was all about
Fusion was already in the game.
It was in the game, but it became bigger. It was like, we want to fuse everything, and that's fine because I'm like, that's kind of cool because then you get to build your deck into different combos. When they introduced, hey, XYZ summoning, hey, tuner monster summoning,
when they lost me.
I was like, I can't get on board with this.
And that's where I really respect a game like Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Because Yu-Gi-Oh! Introduced new mechanics in terms of entirely new card types and entirely new ways they would fall on the board. But a game like Magic the Gathering, which I don't play a ton of, but we played some online, it has been the same core game since the 80s. They just create new cards that have card mechanics. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Has always been more of we're going to graft on this whole other way of playing to the existing game. And it makes it a game. I feel like player turnover has to be pretty high.
It probably is. That or it's just people just stick to the traditional.
Yeah.
Most of the websites you go to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Online, they have a TCG people, and you have OCG, and then you have like no ban lists.
What's no ban list? Is that
no ban list is like it's anything goes. So people have like 3 Exodia pieces of each Exodia piece.
TCG and OCG?
Traditional card game and then original card game.
Is original card game like what we like?
No, original card game is what's now. Traditional card game is what people don't play anymore, which is what we like.
Oh, nice. Okay.
We're traditionalists, man.
Yeah.
Can't get away from it. But if you're looking for a good time, Duel Monsters VR, just look it up on the Discord.
One of those Game Boy Advance games, you could go into the codes, and if you had the real life card, you could look at the code in the bottom left and type it in. And
that's how I liked the Game Boy Color one, and that was the same way.
Yeah, give you the card in the
there's
game.
one on the Game Boy Advance that I ate the crap out of. You face 5 duelists, and after you beat all 5 of them, you face another 5 duelists.
Eternal Duel Soul.
Yep, that's what it is. The greatest Yu-Gi-Oh game.
Greatest game, great soundtrack, great everything.
And it's like the computers are hard to beat, and you get to use any type of cards you want. Oh. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is what it's meant to be. What's cool about the Duel Monsters VR? It looks like they scanned real cards in. So like you see the real card, and like you click on them. You don't have to read them because it's really hard to read stuff in VR. Yeah. It gives you like a big giant printout on top of your duel disc that you can look at and stuff. For 2 people. Kind of impressed.
Hey, listen. Hey, so Konami been very lenient, but you know who has not been lenient? Sega.
Ooh.
Sega ripped somebody from the virtual world this month.
I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah. So what happened? What happened was the new game Judgment. It's from same people that made Yakuza. So. That's coming out soon in Japan, and it's also going to come out here in America. It might be already out by the time this goes up, but they had an actor in there. So there's actors. I think just about everybody in there is based off a real actor in Japan. Yeah. And there was somebody, Pierre Taki was the guy's name.
Main character, right?
No, it's not the main character. It's a character in there. He was caught in a cocaine drug bust.
No big deal.
And people, when that happened, people started seeing all the trailers went down. They're like, those trailers are not up anymore. And people started getting worried. Like, are they going to cancel this? Like, they removed all Twitter posts involved with Judgment and stuff. And there's like, is this game done? Like, is this not going to happen? That was the big worry because it's like all the stuff's done. It's too close to launch to whatever. And they ended up, they ripped him all out of the whole game, and he's definitely not in the American version. They're having to recast, like, a voice actor for that character or whatever. And so, what we learned, I guess, this month was Japan doesn't play around with drugs.
Yeah, no, that was something I did not know. But
I didn't know how bad it is.
When everything started getting pulled down, people started to share that is common in Japan, that if somebody, an actor or someone in any kind of an industry, if they are caught with drugs or caught involved in drugs, they will straight up rip them out completely of everything, which is so weird.
Because in America, we give them another role.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, we got to fit this into their character.
Well, here's Hangover 2.
I also all I hear about with a lot of like Japanese, whether it's in the anime industry or the video game industry, I've heard these stories with like Nintendo even. I think it's pretty common knowledge that they are workaholics, a lot of them. A lot of those companies, especially in the anime industry and all the work that has to be done to produce a show, they're known for working, 18-hour days and that kind of thing.
It doesn't surprise me they do crack.
And, well, that was what I don't want to accuse anybody of anything. I've not heard this about Nintendo, but anywhere where people are doing long hours, like drug use kind of just
happens.
Goes hand in hand.
Everybody on Red Dead was on crack, confirmed.
I'm not saying it always, but it's just really interesting to me that it's a big taboo. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's just it was shocking to me to realize how big of a taboo it is for their culture. Not that I think drugs are good. I don't think that they're
no, we don't think it's good either.
CG kids.
I was saying when they were worried that they were going to cancel the game, I was like, tell them we love it in America. We love drugs, so there's no reason.
Yeah, we love drugs and we love that guy. So
you always learn something new, I guess.
You just never see people sit there and hold on. You see people get stoned for doing things, but they always end up coming back and doing something else. Like later, another project. Like Didn't Robert Downey Jr. do like something?
Oh yeah, he was real big into drugs and stuff.
And then
in
like
the 90s.
he came back, and now he's like he's now really prominent. But it's like
America loves a comeback story. Japan wants you to go away. I guess
they want you to go away.
Well, I mean, but what would happen if like now I'm like worried like what? God forbid, like what?
Kojima,
Miyazaki got caught with blood on a hooker. You know what I mean? Like, are we gonna lose Mario and Zelda? Like,
all I'll say is hopefully they're playing by Sekiro rules and he can resurrect.
You mean Miyamoto?
Oh yeah, Miyamoto. That's what I meant.
You know your boy Miyamoto.
That's what I meant. Yeah, Miyamoto,
yeah.
or maybe that's what happened with Kojima.
You don't make...
Maybe he got caught with a
Kojima's
bag.
been hanging out in Hollywood with Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, he's too much into Hollywood. I think he is doing drugs.
I don't know. You don't
hanging out with Guillermo. They heard about Guillermo.
I mean, have you seen his movies? That dude has to be on drugs. Have you seen the movies he makes?
Well...
Pan's Labyrinth.
Are you going to buy Judgment?
I want to beat Yakuza 6 first before I... get into the drug-fueled
I hope the drug version
game.
gets out.
It's Judgment.
I don't know anything about that game other than the faces look really cool. Like, they look really good.
It's very detailed.
It's very detailed.
But Sega put their judgment on them. But you know what else happened in this gaming world? Throw out your physical media. Google has solved it. Google, Stadia.
Stadia.
Google Stadia is what I'll call it.
Back here.
Their cloud platform, cloud gaming service. Google is everybody's racing to get it. Now that it's on the cloud, everybody's just wanting to get in. If they don't got to make a physical kind of thing, they can just build the servers.
I think this is the dumbest thing, literally since the Virtual Boy.
One take over here.
So let's recap what the thing is.
Okay, so they announced it's a cloud gaming thing. We don't know how much it is yet.
It's a service.
We already kind of had a beta test of it through Google Stream. Is that what it was called earlier?
Yeah. Project Stream.
You can play it right from Chrome, whatever.
I don't know. Maybe some people don't know. Basically, Project Stream was a beta last year where you could get into Chrome, and if you got accepted into the beta, you open up Chrome, open up a new window, just like if you're opening up a website. You click on Google or the Project Stream link inside of your email, and it would open up a window, and that window would have Assassin's Creed. What was it? What's the newest one?
Assassin's Creed 3, I thought. Or no, it was Odyssey.
Odyssey.
Was that
that window would have Assassin's Creed Odyssey in it, and you could plug an Xbox controller into your computer and play Odyssey in a window of Chrome on your browser, not running on your hardware.
Yes.
It would be running on a server elsewhere.
And they announced that they're going full force on this.
They're making it a full product.
They're making it a service. You'll be able to jump. What I thought was very cool, you'll be able to on your phone and then pick up your tablet. You're on that. It just jumps over to that. You can jump onto your laptop. Boom. It just picks up where you left off on that. Just very seamlessly. It's like it knows what you're playing and it'll jump to that. 4K 60 frames is kind of like what they're shooting for, which is pretty...
Very ambitious.
Very ambitious. Another cool aspect of it is if you're on YouTube and you see a streamer playing a game or something, you can click. That game will be on like the bottom of it or whatever, like of the video, and you can jump right into the game right from there and start playing the game.
Right where they're at.
Right, and I think there's other stuff like... you can jump to where a person was at in the game. There's other stuff.
Like, if I'm playing and I'm streaming, my save file is on the server. So if somebody wants to play off of my save file,
they can play from
They can start from my save file.
So here is my take on this.
Oh, wait, one other thing. Anything you're playing, there's just a stream button. It'll automatically stream to YouTube if you want to stream.
Oh, okay.
Inside of Stadia also.
So the... like everything they've built around this, like jumping in from YouTube, the seamless, like jumping, from your tablet to that, I think is incredible. I think it is absolutely the freaking future. I love my physical games, and I will hold on white knuckle, gripping onto my physical media as long as I can. But the convenience of what they're doing here and just the ease of use of all this, like everything's around, like what can I say? Kind of the presentation and everything. Yeah. Locked On, man, they have got it, and it's going to be really cool to see where Sony takes theirs and Xbox, whatever. As someone that has, and I know this is 10 years ago, I've seen this argument because other people made the same argument, and people came back with the same thing. I played on live, and I played a full game from beginning to end on live. And this was back in 2011. When it worked, I felt like it was there. Like, I felt like I was playing whatever the game. When it hangs up, which this thing will absolutely 100%, there's going to be dips or whatever. That is just going to happen. I don't think the infrastructure is there. When that does happen, when it did happen on live for me, it totally rips you out in a way that when you drop from like 30 frames to 24 and then it goes back or whatever, when that drops whatever, that takes you out of the experience a little bit, but it's like, and then it'll go back to normal. Like Breath of the Wild even had frame dips, but it never whatever. Having a connection drop when that's all you're relying on is your brain just totally, I don't even know how to explain it. It's the most obnoxious, like frustrating thing.
You don't want to play anymore.
It totally ripped me out, and I was just like, I guess I'll just wait for this to fix or whatever. I will say it's been 10 years. I do want to give this another shot and see where they're at, but I just know that especially when you're shooting 4K, when you're trying to stream 4K back and forth and you press a button and there's that dynamic button press reaction every minute, like that, when you're, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but when I have Apple Music and I have Netflix, those work beautifully for me because they are locked, non-dynamic content. It's always going to load the same song. It's always going to load the next frame of the movie, and it's already going to be ready. You know what I mean? Like, it's already progressing through and downloading that stuff to you immediately. It doesn't have to take your input at all. Gaming is different, and that's where I think it's just you're going to see kind of these cloud services still struggle in that. I mean, you even saw...
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
As someone who played about 4 hours of Project Stream.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't give me any trouble. It felt one for one. Everything you're saying sounds like I understand the point, but I think maybe you underestimate. Things are not all the way there, sure, but I'm telling you, I play PC games. Frame rate means a lot to me. Latency means a lot to me. I play with a mouse and keyboard. I played about 4 hours of Project Stream at my PC, 60 frames a second. My biggest complaints had nothing to do with latency. The only thing I noticed was in large outdoor areas, at certain times, I would see video compression in the distance. That was number one, just a little bit. And number two, the audio on Project, which I wrote back. My feedback was, I said the audio at times seemed low quality. The latency was a literal non-factor, and what I would compare it to is it was better than this. Is I play a lot of games on my Steam Link. Your Steam Link is streaming. You're streaming from your PC onto this little box into your living room. And when I play my Steam Link, it has more latency than what this did, streaming from their servers. So I think I think you need to try it. I think that it has progressed maybe a lot further than you would think.
I think another question I have that I don't know if they've answered this yet is, even with the Steam Link or whatever, I'm going from like there to here on like my wired connection. Where is it going when I'm playing this Stadia thing? Am I going, like, where's the servers at? Is there one, like, here in Cincinnati? Or do I got to go to Indiana? Like, where is it going to and bouncing back and forth? Because that is going to give different experiences to different people. I think this is the future. I just think...
But if you think about it this way, when you play an online game, there's enough infrastructure for you to be able to, within a millisecond, shoot a guy. And sometimes there's lag, but... I mean, as long as everybody has a decent internet connection, you're able to play fast-paced multiplayer shooter games, and people play fighting games online. Like the amount of precision required, and that is streaming each other to each other's screen.
That's true.
So I think you underestimate.
That's true, but
dynamic content online has been existing. This isn't some new concept.
That's true, but there is still the local component of you having the game already downloaded and it's right there. Like, I know that there's the online component, like you're right about that. I just feel, and I'm going to give this a try. Maybe I'll.
But you're reading your opponent's input into your computer.
Yeah, but maybe I'm going to eat my hat on this.
That's why dedicated servers help.
I think that this will come out. I think it's going. I think the better experience is going to be picking up a physical game, having it on my television, and the latency right there between my controller and
you're right. That will be the better
experience.
And
that's the way I will want to play it.
And that's fine.
Because I don't like that I'm going to have to... here's the other thing. I'm going to let you speak and I have one other thing. But...
I had a thought on that, but... What's up?
You had a thought, bro.
So here's the thing is, it doesn't matter what the best experience is. The best experience right now is building a PC.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't do that because it's not convenient. You know what's going to matter is there's a lot of people in this world. I have siblings that are this way. I have friends that are this way that do not have money. The barrier on buying a console or buying a PC, $300, $400, $900.
I totally agree.
And for parents,
it's going to be
parents who do not give a crap about latency, if their kid can get Google Chrome to play the game and they pay $10 a month, or they buy a $300 box to play it, you know who's not going to care about this is a little bit better?
Yeah.
The parent or the person that doesn't have the money.
I totally agree.
And so it's not going to matter. That's my point is, you're right. Oh, it's better to have the box running it, but it will not matter because this will expand out so fast. The match is lit, it will hit the gasoline, and this is gone.
I totally agree. What's up?
It's all about price point.
Yeah, we don't know the price.
And I'm telling you right now, it's no way it's cheaper than $49.99.
I'm guessing about 30.
I think it'll be lower than that.
No way in God's green earth. I'll put myself in the grave if it is.
It will
because there are cable packages, there are things out there that give a whole lot heck of a less.
Yeah.
It will be because they don't care about making a profit. They care about building a user base.
They
care about building a user base. If they get the user base and they take up all the users and they become the Netflix of games, then you can do whatever you want with price because you control the entire market.
I agree with you.
They'd be dumb to launch.
I agree with you in that
they have all the money in the world. They're Google.
It doesn't mean anything. There's still an operating cost. It costs like
Google doesn't. The R&D costs will blow the operating costs out of the water. They're spending a ton of money on this. The point is users. If they can get all the users, then they can do whatever they want.
What's the end game for this? Users?
To control the entire market. That's the end game, yeah.
Google wants their name. That makes no sense to me in the end.
If you set it to $50 a month, and that gives you 30% of the users you could have had, or you set it at $10 a month, and you have 300 million subscribers.
I'm not giving you $10 a month to play a crappy game. No, you can go fall.
What if you can play every? What if you can play
every single game?
It's going to run like I don't think it's going to run well.
Man, it's
easy for you to say because when they ran the beta, they only selected a certain amount of few. They controlled that server. When you have constant people trying to play the same game, there is a limit to what things can handle. I don't care how many servers you have. I don't care what you have going on. There's a limit to everything. They're not there yet.
That's where I'm at too. I think this is the future, but I think this is a 5 to 10 years, more towards 10 years kind of thing.
It's going to be this next generation.
I think it's to really iron out some of the issues, but I
am glad someone's taking the step.
Yeah.
Bravo.
And I think what you said though, even though we're saying this and I feel like it's not quite there yet. I think
it's and it's over.
I think that it is going to be good enough for the majority of more casual gamers and like people that don't have the money to to get a $500 next gen console. That is going to be good enough for them. But for me, I like the quality and the crispness of 4K and just that dropping down to a 1080p resolution and jumping in and out of all that stuff would kill me, and I am not down for that.
My interest
at the moment. Now, in the future, if they get this down and we've got the servers everywhere and they're close and they've got whatever, then maybe I jump along for the ride.
It's going to be the vinyl thing. It's going to be the vinyl versus MP3 thing, and we're going to be kicking and screaming, but everybody's going to be listening to MP3s.
But
everybody's going to be streaming their games.
But I do.
That's the way this is.
I will say another thing that I hate about this is there is. I mean, it was even a fight with the PS4 and the Xbox One, which was what was part of Sony's keynote. You can own your games. You have your physical games. I know that's not going to be around forever. But to give control of your entire library of buying games to Google sounds like a dystopian nightmare that I don't want to be a part of personally. Again, this is my personal preference. I think other people won't think about the stuff we're saying. But I do not want freaking Google.
Well, I hear that from a lot of people, but I don't really understand why. I don't get it. I don't know why that's a problem.
Well, one thing.
Because it's going to be in somebody's hands. Because everything's going digital.
Yes.
And I don't trust Sony. At least Google will carry my purchases forward. Sony won't.
Yeah.
So I don't think Google's the worst company. So I hear everybody say this. They already have my calendar. They have my email. They have my internet usage. I don't really give a flip. I know that the movies I have on Google Play and the YouTube videos that I watch and all these things are already hosted by them, so I trust them to maintain it.
Here's why I'm a little afraid of Google having it. Google has created other products before, Google Reader being one, Google Plus being another big one.
Google Glasses.
And these are just very small little things. If you put your time in on the Google Plus, there's people that did it, like put the time in to put content, whatever, and it's like, all that stuff's going, we're just deleting all that stuff. Google is notorious for dropping projects.
Yeah, they dropped Google Drive. It sucked when we lost all our docs and our sheets. I don't know. I disagree.
I'm coming from a more programmer, like stuff with Google. Like I know I've worked with stuff. They have they will create something and then they'll drop it. I don't trust them to maintain this for ever.
But that's the thing is, I would be shocked. This won't be a system where you buy games.
Look.
This will be
that's what it comes down to.
This is a subscription service.
Sure.
You're not going to be buying games. You're going to be subscribed.
I know, but like if
they get rid of it, then you just don't.
But you'll add games. You'll add games to your library of like, this is the game that I want to have on my quick list or like your library. Kind of like a Spotify kind of deal where you add games or Apple Music.
If that happens, it's not like a music playlist. You remember you wanted that game and you'll go get it somewhere else.
I just don't.
I don't.
The only last two complaints I have. One, again, I just don't see it being cheap enough for me to be interested. I just can't see how it could be.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they...
But number two, and if it is, my interest will go from like a 1 to 3. I'll be somewhat interested. All right? But the second one is the content in which, like the number of games I can select, how are they going to be able to run all of those individual games? Are they going to have dedicated servers for each individual game? Or are they going to have something that's like...
Yeah, they're going to have dedicated...
So, you're telling me the hundreds and hundreds of games they have on there to select or whatever.
We're talking about Google. We're talking about one of the biggest companies on planet Earth. Like
hundreds and hundred games, and you're telling me that they're going to have a dedicated server for a game that might have 5 players.
No, what will happen is that game won't be on their service. They're only going to have the big blockbuster games that everybody wants.
Ain't streaming Undertale on this thing.
No, absolutely not. And that's where I honestly think that the end game of this is that a lot of the big AAA stuff is going to flip over to these streaming services, and then your indie games and the stuff that we play a lot of is going to remain on hardware, and that will be less lucrative. We might see less of those games, but that's going that way anyway.
I would feel bad for the individual who puts a lot of time in the game, gets invested in the game, and has the game pulled from the service.
Oh, it's going to happen, but there's a lot of people who are in the middle of watching a show and it gets pulled off Netflix. It happens.
So I am physical till I die or till they prove me wrong, but we will see. To be continued.
I'm not super excited. I think tech-wise it's really interesting, and I'm not probably going to subscribe to this because I own every box that plays every game anyway.
Yeah.
But my point, more or less, isn't that this is good or this is bad. It's that this is happening. It's a lot further along than I think you're maybe fully come to terms with. I think it's going to work, and I think it's going to absolutely catch fire.
Okay.
Between this and xCloud with Microsoft, this is going to be
when this
huge.
Comes out, somebody here in this room is going to eat their hat. Me and Jacob or Travis?
Not when it comes out. You got to give it like a year. You got to wait.
Day one.
It better before day one. Or it's a failed service.
Day one.
Okay, I'll take day one. Because not only is Google doing this, Microsoft is doing this next gen.
Yeah, and I'm sure Sony's hooking up, and I'm sure Nintendo in 15 years will get to it.
You know what?
Sometime.
We all know Apple does it better, anyways.
Yep. Apple did announce their little arcade thing where they're doing like they're doing a subscription thing too.
Oh my gosh, frick of it!
But they kind of put a dig at Google during their little presentation. They were like, "We're doing a Google Arcade, and you'll play it with your iPad to your Mac to whatever. Everything's stored locally. It's no worries about cloud. We're doing no cloud stuff." And they're going the opposite kind of direction of some of their games. They had Sakaguchi and stuff. Like, that's a big name, and some other developers. So everybody is gaming.
Mm-hmm. And that's why when you talk about operating costs, it doesn't matter. Google wants to get into gaming. It is probably the most lucrative entertainment industry. So they're going to...
Money-wise, there's no worry about Google.
They're not worried about making a profit on this. Xbox as a division ran at a loss.
I know that.
Forever.
I know.
Because, you know why?
They want to get in the market.
Because Microsoft is huge.
I get that.
And Google's the same thing. Google is not worried about their margins.
But eventually, everything has an end game to eventually become profitable.
Sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So for me, is looking at the streaming service, the only end game you have is by raising the rates over time.
Of course, yeah.
So you're telling me you're going to install a huge user base at $9.99 and slowly work it up to $15.99 and $25.99 to where the point where you're happy? That's going to lose a lot of people.
I mean, that's kind of the end game of all these streaming things that are taking over all the entertainment industry. So I don't disagree, but it is what it is.
It's just like I think just keep making games. Don't change what you're doing. It's worked for some years.
I agree. Next podcast going to be...
think the world's not going to continue
Next podcast going to be on a DVD. Put your address in the comments.
I'm just a realist here. I'm just a realist.
You're just a futurist.
But enough of that gobbledygook.
You guys are right. Streaming's not going to take off. We're going to be playing PS8.
No, I agree with you.
Speaking of streaming,
I agree.
We've been on Netflix lately. Let's not jump down this rabbit hole. I think we're kind of tense here.
I agree. It's the future.
I feel like it's kind of warm in this room.
I agree. It's the future. I'm with you. It's the future. I just don't like it. I just don't like it.
Tearing us apart, Lisa.
You know what? I wanted to kill somebody because of this cloud stuff. So I watched American Crime Story, Assassination of Versace.
Heard there was a lot of killing.
I sat down and almost watched all of this straight through because I had no clue about this happening. But it's American Crime Story. You can check it out on Netflix. They actually did O.J. Simpson trial the same time they did HBO's did their little O.J. Simpson thing. So it's a reenactment. They do kind of dramatization of a story. So the second season was the assassination of Versace, the fashion designer. I didn't even know he got assassinated. But it was from the serial killer guy, and the story is told in reverse chronological order. And as it started, I went, because when stories are told that way, most of the time it's kind of a gimmick, and it's like, what are we doing? But as each episode went along, and you'll see like the serial killer like kills this person or this person's involved, and then they die or they get killed or whatever. And the next episode is what happened leading up to that. Like, how did they meet that character? Oh, wow. And it ends up going... by the end of it, I was like, yeah, this is how it should have been told. Like, This was a very awesome way that they did this. So I was hooked. I watched almost all of it.
How many episodes?
8 or something. I think 8 or 9 or something like that.
Interesting.
But I loved it, and I definitely recommend it if you're into crime stuff. It was very interesting to see, great acting and stuff. And I didn't know this was how things went out.
That's interesting.
It happened in the 90s. But, very good. I have been watching The Deuce on HBO.
I've never heard of
That's
this
disgusting.
in my life.
It's from, who stars in it? James Franco and his brother.
Oh, really?
Which... they're like identical twins. They look incredibly alike. And in the show, it's an accent puts them apart. Like, that's the only way sometimes. Wow. And hairstyles at points, but like they have to. But I'm on season 2 of it. There's only 2 seasons out at this point. I think there's season 3 coming this year, but maybe. But it's about 70s New York, 1970s New York. And if you know anything about 1970s New York, it was hell. It was absolutely just seedy. It was just prostitutes everywhere, like shootings all the time. There was no tourism in New York in the 1970s. It was a much different world.
It was a bad time.
Tourists did not want to go there at that time, as they do now. But I'm very just interested in that kind of time period. It's just very interesting. So this show really nails the look of it. It nails the kind of seedy there's parts when I just have to look away at certain parts in this because it's just so seedy. It's just so just violent at times and just whatever. But a lot has to do with the prostitution that was going on. The show is almost almost focused entirely on like the pimps and kind of like hookers
That's
at
a good
the
thing to
time.
look at.
But it is of all the HBO shows, I think this has the most boobs in it of any.
That's
there is sex almost like every 2 seconds in the show, but that was 1970s.
I legitimately think HBO only produces softcore porn.
Well, no, almost hardcore porn, but but out of every other show, like Game of Thrones, like that was for a while, but that kind of like cooled down. This one has been pretty consistent, but
interesting.
How about House of Cards? Was that Showtime?
Didn't watch that.
It had a little bit, but this show,
I just laugh at it because it's like.
The senator has fallen.
Senator has fallen.
But it's cool to see in the second season because season 1 is 71, season 2 is 78, and you get to see how these pimps are like kind of losing their power because porn starts, like video porn, like they're making porn and stuff, and it's like that is kind of taking over where hookers did, and now people are just going to like these peep shows and like paying $0.25 and they get to see women behind the curtain and stuff like that. Like all this stuff is taking over.
Did you know they did a peep show in 2016 out in New York?
Wow, why didn't we go?
Well, what they did was it was Ed Sheeran.
What?
Ed Sheeran was there?
They tried selling a peep show and they wanted to see who would actually go into it.
And Ed Sheeran
No,
showed
what
up
happened
for
was
it?
Ed Sheeran was behind the curtains.
Oh, okay.
So someone would pay $0.25, they walk down to this little dark, dank room, and you're like, oh, this is disgusting. And they pull the curtains back and it's Ed Sheeran singing. And they'd be like, oh. And like sometimes
and they would just close the curtain. Like,
no, they just stand there for like a minute and then they walk out and they kind of look around and they just walk away. And like they did a YouTube video on it.
That's horrible.
And it was like it's like a really cool thing. I'm like, man, people still would pay to do peep shows.
Yeah,
because they think they're about to like get like a naked woman and you get Ed Sheeran.
How embarrassing is that?
Yeah, I don't.
Because you'd just be ready to go.
Well, one guy's like, okay, it's not bad. But he's
what
like,
weird.
He was like, I'm okay with this.
They show their faces.
Yeah.
The Deuce, I recommend if you're into 1970s stuff. I just love that kind of time period. They do it upright.
Interesting.
And if you like boobs, maybe you might see a boob or two.
Yeah.
One thing that worries me though is because I just finished Sopranos for the second time. I've watched through it, me and my wife. Loved it the second time. Oh my gosh, incredible show. But there is a prequel movie coming out called Newark, because Newark, New Jersey, where it takes place in. And they are having the son of James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano.
Gandolfini.
They're having his actual son play him in the prequel movie. He's in The Deuce. James Gandolfini's son. I forgot it's like Michael Gandolfini, I think. And him in the show, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm worried. Now I'm really worried for the...
You're not feeling good about it.
I was just like, oh, because Tony Soprano is my favorite TV show character of all freaking time. The acting is unbeatable. Nobody matches it.
You shouldn't put his son recast.
But I get that he looks like him. I get that part. But now that I'm watching him in The Deuce, it's like, I don't know if this kid has it. I don't know. So
yeah.
I hope the best for him. But
it's almost like casting Han Solo.
It kind of spooked me. Yeah, Harrison Ford's son or something in there. But
it's like, how do you live up?
Yeah, but so that's all I've been watching TV related. But
we watched a couple movies.
We did.
Me and you did.
Yeah, we watched The Straight Story.
Straight Story. So if you've been watching podcasts, we've been going through David Lynch's movies. Mm-hmm. We've been watching them, and we watched 2 this past couple of weeks. So we watched 2 very different movies. So the first one was called The Straight Story. And so if you've ever watched a David Lynch movie, they're very weird. Typically they're very violent, very sexual, very kind of like weird dream state things going on. And so The Straight Story has none of that.
It's a Disney movie.
The Straight Story.
It's literally produced by Disney, and David Lynch directed it.
It is literally about an old man.
It's a true story.
Who falls and hurts his hip, and he's getting old, and he lives with his adult daughter who has some issues, and he's just kind of got a very mellow life, we'll call it. Gets a call, finds out that his brother, up in another state, has, had a stroke and isn't doing well. And he just kind of decides that this character, his name's Straight, what's his first name? Alvin Straight.
Alvin Straight, yeah.
Alvin Straight, he decides that he is going to go see his brother. He can't drive, doesn't have a car, so he literally gets his what do you call it? John
Deere mower and drives to another state.
And he puts a trailer on the back of it, and the whole movie is him leaving his hometown and going to see his brother. Yeah. And the whole movie is just him driving. It reminds me a lot of, in ways, Forrest Gump, just a little bit, of just how you get these little slice of life as he's going through the towns he's in. He starts out in Iowa and he winds up in Wisconsin, and just these little towns and different people he meets along the way. There's these little vignettes of characters and young people, old people, and basically the movie is just all about the struggles of growing old. And the struggles of become disconnected from family and then trying to reconnect with family, and the struggle of, what it would be like to drive a tractor, across the country. And I loved it. Yeah. I thought it's just wholesome, fantastic.
Versus his other stuff, it's just a wholesome. I mean, you can watch this one with your family, and I'm not even joking. And
it's got a great soundtrack, just really nice awesome. Kind of country music with picked guitar and violins and. It was very uplifting. It was very heartwarming, and it really showed David Lynch, has a lot of range to him because it was so different than his other movies. Yeah. So I highly recommend Straight Story. If you want to watch something chill and uplifting, check that out. Now, we watched another David Lynch movie.
Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive. I'm going to let you kick this one off because this is
my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
This is absolutely my favorite David Lynch film. I've only seen this movie twice. This was when I watched it the other day with them. That was my second time viewing it. I watched it the first time, and for weeks and weeks and weeks, I just thought on this film. It's a story. I'll just tell the beginning because it goes in crazy directions. But it's about an actress goes to L.A. and a girl gets in a car accident, and there's other stuff with that, but gets in a car accident and kind of loses her memory. Shows up in this house that this actress came over to stay in. Her aunt's letting her stay in this place in LA. Finds this woman in the house, and everything kind of goes from there. Yeah. We're trying to find out who this person is. But it is a story that is about identity. It's a story about LA. It's a story about what's real, what's not in life. It sunk into my soul. I thought about this movie for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks afterwards because I was like, oh my gosh, the movie kind of folds in on itself. It's crazy what this movie is able to do, and it's incredible. There's parts in this that were tearing me up because I was amazed by the actual what was going on visually and what the meaning of the film was. It's just it's right above our heads. I have a poster of Mulholland Drive up there. So
she does not look happy.
But yeah.
The movie was very striking. It has just a very kind of haunting atmosphere. There's some really funny moments, really memorable characters, and I just thought that it gave a really interesting depiction of LA. Mm-hmm. They always talk about how LA is crazy, how everything's meetings and show business and all these different things. And the movie doesn't really start out that way, but as it kind of evolves, you just start to see all these different elements and the way that it affects people, and then the way that like you said, the movie folds in on itself, and you start to see characters one way in the beginning, and then at the end you see them almost opposite or in completely different ways. Mm-hmm. And it was really good. Probably not one to watch with your family, I'll say. Yeah. It's kind of the opposite of Straight Story in that there's a lot of sex and a lot of nakedness and a lot of craziness, but it's been a really fun journey watching through his movies. And I think that in the previous episode we talked about Lost Highway, which was a David Lynch movie. And I think that Lost Highway, in some ways, they're different movies, 100%. I think they're accomplishing different things. But I think that was Lynch trying out some ideas narratively and trying to experiment with how to tell certain stories and how does he convey what might be going on in somebody's mind is kind of my interpretation. And this movie kind of evolves on that premise and I think does it better. It's more of a cohesive movie, whereas that movie felt like two halves. This movie feels like a complete movie that just goes off the rails in the last probably 20%.
This is also a movie that is hard to explain to you in words.
Yeah.
But this is a movie I felt. Yeah. And by the end of it, I was like, I know what that means. Like, in thinking on it for weeks, I was like, I know what this means to me, and it clicks, but I can't tell you.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell.
And I gotta say,
I can't explain it.
This movie and a lot of his movies, and we've talked about it a little bit, but I don't know if we've really talked about it in depth. I think that things like CinemaSins and things on YouTube where people just hyper criticize movies because the plot didn't make sense or what the characters didn't make sense. I think that so many people approach movies so literally that it really bothers me. I love symbolism in movies, and I love using the visual audio medium and using things in interesting ways to convey a feeling and to convey a theme more so than to convey a literal thing that happened to these people at this time. There are literal things that happen in this movie. I don't mean to say that nothing is real or anything, but the real point being that this is a movie that it really uses the best parts of filmmaking as a medium in that sense of it really is about developing a theme, and there might be things that happen that you watch it, and if you're thinking extremely literally, you might be left saying, well, what did this have to do with anything? Yeah. But then when you really sit back and think and you let it just kind of, like you said, bubble over the surface after you think it, it all kind of comes together. And so I thought that this movie has that trait, which is something I like in movies a lot, where I like literal stories too, but, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, but that, and I watched a couple, and I'll kind of... I wonder what you guys will think about something I'm about to say here. But first off, not this movie, but the next. But I watched a documentary. I think it won an Oscar, Free Solo.
Yeah.
It was a documentary about this climber. And this is the sequel.
I haven't seen Free Solo, but I watched like a National Geographic thing about this guy. So
this guy is... I didn't even fully understand that people do this. But... there's rock climbing, and then there's free solo climbing. And what that is, free solo, like, you are literally climbing with your hands and no rope up a freaking mountain. It is unreal to see. At points, the things that they're standing on are like that big, like little indents in the mountain. And there is like some of the ledges they have to like strengthen they're doing like pull-ups with like the fingers because they have to like put their whole body weight on that. Like sometimes their whole life is just on 2 fingers on climbing stuff. It's to watch this movie, it made me sweat. Like my hands.
The
were
amount of dopamine you want to experience in your life.
Go do
meth.
I think that is
go do meth. Like why?
I think that is like the greatest thrill. I don't think like when I was watching, I was like, I don't think there's anything higher than that, like thrill wise. But unbelievable movie. Definitely check that out if you want to poop your pants. But. One of the greatest feats I think this guy accomplishes in the movie. That's kind of what the whole movie's about. Is climbing.
I could barely pick things up. With
is climbing like El Capitan, not the operating system from Mac, but the mountain El Capitan.
It's a heck of a thing to climb if you try it.
Yeah, but very cool. Next up, I had watched. I forgot to mention on the last podcast, but I watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I didn't say anything about that. I forgot about it, but. Awesome. I freaking loved that.
I haven't seen it.
I'm not going to spoil anything.
See it too.
I'm not going to spoil anything. Freaking loved that. That's one of my favorites since Logan of like Marvel movies. But the style.
I want to see it.
It's very cool.
I regret not seeing it.
With that being said, I watched. My wife's niece came over, and one of the movies I sat down for and I watched was Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh, okay.
And I could not tell you a bigger rift between Into the Spider-Verse and Homecoming for me. Homecoming to me, I don't know, I don't think you guys are going to like me after this podcast, but Homecoming to me, I was waiting for that one to be over. But I don't want it to be all bad. As I was watching it, I noticed one thing about Spider-Man Homecoming. I don't know if you guys will agree. But the jokes and kind of the humor and stuff that they were doing and moments, as I was watching, I went, this would be cool to me if I was like 12 or 13, but I don't feel like this movie's for me. There was certain, because it's like a teenage Spider-Man, there's stuff like with the whatever, but the humor and the stuff that was going on, it just didn't appeal to me and it didn't like click. And by the end of it, I was just kind of done with the movie. Whereas Into the Spider-Verse, I was just drawn in, and then And then we watched, I had watched for the second time with her niece, and he was like, a kid and me were both drawn into the Spider-Verse. Like, totally drawn in. Spider-Man Homecoming did not do it for me.
Here's what I'll say about that. I think that's fair. I think that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse probably... Not that Homecoming... Here's the thing with Homecoming. I really liked Homecoming. It's a fun popcorn movie.
Yeah.
I've heard Into the Spider-Verse is a really phenomenal film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I think if you had saw Homecoming first, I can't really speak to what you would have thought. I don't think you would have loved it, but it probably wouldn't have come across quite as offensive because you had just seen the other one.
Yeah.
And same for me. I saw Homecoming. I haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse yet, and I really want to. But I liked Homecoming. I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of low stakes, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I like the twist that happens with the villain. I thought that when I watched it, I didn't see that coming whatsoever, so I thought that was cool. But
that was kind of neat.
I just thought coming off of Amazing Spider-Man, my expectations were so low of what a Spider-Man movie would be, so I enjoyed it.
For me, I think what does it so much is like it wasn't a Spider-Man origin story. It was just the Spider-Man
story. I really liked how they did he wanted to be part of the Avengers, but he couldn't be. Mm-hmm. I thought that was neat. It was a different spin on it.
And it sets it up for later in the Marvel Universe, what it's going to mean. And again, I have learned, after learning to fall in love with every single one of these movies and owning them all on DVD and watching them so many times, each movie plays off of each other the farther you get into it. Mm. And it's just, Marvel, when they did Phase 1, they did all these standalone movies. When they started to do Phase 2, they recognized they were onto something. They had bigger plans after Avengers, where they wanted everything
this movie had parts where they're moving the tower and like stuff where I was like, that didn't hurt the film for me, but I did go, I think there's 30 other movies I got to watch to see some impact.
Once Phase 2 starts happening, you start to see all these universes start to mesh because they had to, because in order for them to do Avengers Infinity War, they had to have a reason for all these guys to come together. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes Infinity War so beautiful, is because they did it so well. And everything makes sense. There's no well, that's just stupid. You know what I mean? And now, coming into Endgame next month, and I just saw Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel has primed me for Endgame so much.
Yeah, I skipped Captain Marvel. I understand where you're coming from. It's not an amazing movie.
Yeah, by no means.
I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. It's you can watch it for me, even though I watched it and had fun with it. That was how I felt about it. I think what I also liked about Homecoming is, I don't relate to the exact scenario, but one of the reasons why I always liked Spider-Man as a character when I was a kid was he was supposed to be this kind of down on his luck high school kid. Mm. And they got off track with that with some of the other Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire was running around. I like the Tobey Maguire movies, but he's working at a newspaper. And Amazing Spider-Man, I don't know. That kid looked like a model. He was the opposite of down on his luck. And so I thought that this kid did a pretty good job of conveying, he's kind of a loser. He kind of didn't have friends. And in that way, it's not Mulholland Drive or anything, but it just kind of struck me as, it's a fun movie. He's a superhero, but he's kind of a loser, and he can't share. We all think if you're cool in high school, you get the hot girl, and he can't share that he's Spider-Man. So he's kind of, it's very basic. It's not anything complicated. Yeah. It's not anything revolutionary.
Yeah, I guess my biggest thing
Into the Spider-Verse, from my understanding, is phenomenal on a character level. So
I guess coming out of it, where Into the Spider-Verse, I felt like everybody could enjoy. I sat there with my niece, and we were both just. I've been saying niece, it's nephew. I'm an idiot. So me and her nephew were just tuned in and just loved it. Whereas this, I felt like if I was with my cousin, my little cousin that's a preteen or something, I think that he would have really enjoyed Homecoming. Whereas I felt like it was more for a younger audience, and it didn't click with me because of that. But I didn't hate it. I just
so
went
interesting that this one's live action and you feel that way, and then the animated one.
It's weird, but and then the final one I want to talk about is Christopher Robin, which was a Disney film about Winnie the Pooh. And man, when they showed a little teaser thing, I kind of watched it and went, that little thing looks fricked up.
I want to watch it.
I don't give a frick about this. And recently, my wife wanted to watch it, and I said, let's give it a try. I freaking loved it.
I've been wanting to watch this movie so bad.
It's wholesome, it's genuine, and that to me is that combined with it being Disney is a good track record. If it can be
the old Winnie the Pooh animated movie is probably one of my favorite Disney movies. Mm-hmm. The one where it's just like a series of stories.
Yeah.
And so when I saw last year when they announced this and Ewan McGregor plays Christopher Robin, I kind of heard the premise of, he's kind of older, but he's trying, he's going through hard stuff, and he's trying to rediscover his childhood. I've been sold. I've just been on a weird kick where I haven't gotten to the movies to watch things I want to see. So
it made me tear up.
Yeah.
It made me laugh. Me and my wife were laughing really hard. Like, there's some really funny parts in this. And the CG is freaking good. It's so good because you don't think about it. You're just like, yeah, it's a stuffed animal that like talks. Everything is good. So definitely recommend Christopher Robin. And I think that's it.
That's a wrap.
We've talked it all. We've talked every topic you could talk about in March. That you could ever talk about in March. But we have a couple announcements. Well, first off, I want to give hats off to a friend that promoted us. I didn't have a chance to talk about this, but there was somebody back in the day. I was on somebody else's podcast as like a guest at one point. It was a video game podcast, and he broke off at some point, and they made their own podcast more recently. And my friend Rich, shouts out Rich. I reached out to him, told him we were doing this Weebs thing. He shared that with his like followers and stuff. So I want to give back to him. So check out the Nerd Herd podcast.
Nerd Herd.
They talk about like gaming. I think they just talk about like movies and like all types of nerd stuff, and they Twitch stream as well. But yeah, check them out. I'll put like a link or something. You'll see something down here about them. So Nerd Herd, shouts out, thank you. And finally, you know what? We put out DWEEBS episode 1 in March, but what about in April? We will be having DWEEBS episode 2, Oliver, April 25th.
Wow.
Is the next
April
episode.
25th. Cool.
So our plan at this moment, things could change, but at this point, we will be releasing these monthly. And there's a total of 5. So please look forward to that. Again, please share that first episode with people you know. Go everywhere. Go onto YouTube. Go to share that everybody on YouTube. Just, I don't know how you do that.
Twitter.
Like it on YouTube. Share it on Twitter. Share it on Facebook.
Do what you got to. Mail it to your grandma.
Re-upload it to Pornhub and call it...
that's actually a good idea.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
I was literally in my head like, I need to make a Pornhub joke, but I was like, nah, it's tasteless. I'm not going to do it.
And I did it. So I've been watching too much of the Deuce.
Oh my god.
What can I say?
Yeah.
Now I'm a porn producer. The only porn I'm producing is DWEEBS.
Yeah, and in the meantime, between now and April 25th, we have
visual porn. Gaming porn.
Oh my god.
Gaming porn. Yeah, that'd be
It's
great.
Stop saying
gaming porn.
We also...
Don't you hate... I hate when people go, this is food porn.
Oh, I hate that.
Oh my god.
Buzz off.
I hate that too. I hate that too. Like, hope you've enjoyed this podcast porn.
This is podcast
This
porn.
is total podcast porn.
Podcast porn.
That's got to be the name of the title of the episode. In addition, we also have an episode of Backlog Bros coming out.
Yes.
Second week in April.
So,
I don't know when
a couple
that
weeks
time
from now.
is.
Yeah. Oh, and just so you guys know, this episode comes with much love. It was almost a lost episode, or not an episode of the show lost, but there were some video corruption issues. If you're like, man, that last episode was a while ago. The goal was to have this one out before DWEEBS episode 1, but we had to.
Oh, crap! Hit the.
We
fan.
lost some files. Had to find some files. We got it all figured out. Backlog Bros episode 2 is coming your way. So
it's coming soon. So thank you for watching. Again, like, subscribe. Check us out on Twitter also, DweeBoYT. That's when you know for sure when dates are coming out for the DWEEBS.
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter also.
All that stuff. So yeah, Twitter, all there. Oh, also, I do want to promote. We do have an Instagram. It's DweeBo Official. It's just all one word. And we also have a Facebook. I've just created these for, I'm building real estate. I'm kind of like going around the Monopoly board, getting real estate. So that's also DweeBo Official on Facebook as well. We'll be posting more to those. So every platform you can think of.
We're there.
The only thing we're not on is Pornhub, but you guys are going to change that. So
thanks, guys.
Thank you, all you Pornhub followers.
Maybe we'll put Hangouts on one of those chats. One of those
oh my god.
Yeah.
It'd be like the Peep Show.
Yeah,
they come in looking for a girl.
We go in and we'll play. Hey, this is the hardest part on Sekiro. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next month.
Thanks.
Bada bing, bada bang.
I gotta go take a deuce.
That's not what the show is about.